But all of these elements, along with so many others, are a part of this massive web that are the mental factors that significantly impact your performance. And in this video specifically, we're gonna be deep diving into the mind-body connection and how the relationship can impact you as an athlete. So buckle up, let's get started and dive right in. Hey, what's up team? Welcome back to Mental Grit, and today we're digging into a bit of a foundation that makes up mental skills training, and that is the mind-body connection. How the mind impacts the body and how the body impacts the mind. Now, before we get there though, I need you to have an idea of what the heck the mental aspects of performance even are. Now, these are just a few of them, but go with me here and see if you can identify some of these mental aspects in your own game. Now, every athlete, regardless of the sport or level that I have worked with, has experienced moments of exceptional performance when everything is just going right? Every move you make is flawless, every decision is spot on, everything just seems to go your way. And there's this sense of being in the zone where you're on top of your game, and what we like to call this is what's called flow state. But have you ever wondered how you can actually use the flow state and do deliberate things in order to help you get there? And what catalyzes that peak performance kind of mindset? On the flip side though, we've also had those moments when we're stuck in our heads, having that internal tug of war between positive and negative thinking. Well, that's what we like to call self-talk. And the big question really becomes, can we control this internal dialogue? Can we use it as a tool to enhance our performance? Well, this is just another aspect of the mental game. And who could ignore the impact of psychological warfare? When opponents are trash-talking you, getting under your skin, triggering that frustration and anger, making you play worse than what you are capable of doing, right? It's something that not only affects you, but also can impact everybody around you. So how do we keep it from influencing us negatively? And how do we use it against our opponents instead in a safe way? Okay, now if you're still with me here, you might have a better idea of the mental aspects that we're talking about, just a few of them there. And if you're interested in all this stuff, consider subscribing to the channel here. Smash that subscribe button right below. Now, the first thing that you need to know about that mind-body connection is what we like to call the TPR, or the thought-performance relationship. I like to call it the TPR loop, and essentially what it is a powerful concept that maps this interplay between what we think and our body, or our physiology, and then our actions. Our mind and our body, that connection that happens, right? In essence, the TPR is a loop. Go with me here. Starting with a challenging situation that occurs, something happens that's challenging, you're going to be unconsciously or consciously start with thoughts, right? And that thinking will absolutely impact your emotions. That emotion is gonna impact your physiology, or how your body responds, and then that physiology is gonna impact your actions. And finally, the outcome of the scenario. Then another situation occurs, or the next situation starts. And this all happens in a blink of an eye. It's this ever-revolving cycle that shapes our athletic performance. And depending on our reactions to the outcomes and our thinking within the situations that we face, this loop can take two very different paths: the flywheel and the doom loop. The flywheel, we have a distinct situation. We have a situation occur and we react with helpful thinking, stuff that helps us out. I can do this, we can take this on, I'm capable, whatever it might be. And then that leads to helpful emotions, which leads to helpful body reaction, which leads to helpful actions, which leads to the best possible outcome for that situation. And you can see that with this loop of helpful thinking, helpful emotion, helpful body function, helpful action, that can start spinning up over and over and over again. And you've been there. You've been in those places where everything's just going right for you. How that psychological momentum is just working for you and you just don't even have to try at that point, which is definitely the place that we want to be. All right, now the other side of this equation is what's called the doom loop, and y'all have been here before, and it sucks. Let's just be honest about it. A difficult situation occurs, and some unhelpful thinking is where you start with that reaction, right? Which turns into unhelpful emotions, which turns into unhelpful body function, which then turns into unhelpful actions, and then a suboptimal outcome, which then leads into the next situation, which if you're starting with an unhelpful foot, turns into an unhelpful foot very quickly, and it goes round and round and round until you're in just a terrible space mentally and physically. However, I need you to understand this all, because the beauty of the TPR loop is that it gives us power to influence our sport performance depending on the path that we want to choose. We can choose the doom loop or the flywheel. We can choose to spin it up in whatever direction we want to. And we do essentially have to take responsibility over this psychological momentum because it is predicated on us. It is starting from our thinking, our reactions, and our actions, right? Now, understand at this point that you might be thinking negatively or unhelpfully in any given scenario. But that's why we train, to develop that reaction of thinking that is beneficial in the scenarios that you're going to be facing, right? So the challenge is not only being aware of your internal and action responses or reactions, but also in knowing how to use your skills to enable those helpful thinking patterns and to spin up that flywheel. So this all comes down to, where do we start with this whole training? Now that we know a little bit more about the mind-body reaction, we know that our thinking impacts our body. It can do it in a helpful way, it can do it in a hurtful way, and that psychological momentum can be helpful or it can be hurtful. We'll realize that the TPR loop has two specific aspects that we have in our control entirely: our thinking and our actions. Right? Those are the two things that we have complete control over. And some athletes are more in control of their bodies or their actions, while others have a tighter grip on their minds or their thinking. Now, personally, I had way more control over my body. So if I was faced with a challenging situation, I would bring my posture up and breathe deep. Even though I might have been feeling anxious, scared, or overwhelmed, or my mind was thinking those negative thoughts, I would try to combat it with my posturing. You see, we can make a decision to change the direction that the momentum is going through our thinking and our action, through our body and our mind. My problem was that I was rarely aware enough of my body and my mind to know that the momentum had been spinning into that doom loop for a while before I could actually catch it. My mind was sometimes more harmful than what my body could counteract, making it all the harder to change that direction. Meaning that in some occasions, yes, you can change your mind through your body, and you can change your body through your mind. However, if you bring both of those aspects into alignment, you'll be able to really build up that psychological momentum to help you rather than hurt you. Now, you know that this can sometimes turn into a big fight between body and mind, where you don't want to believe that you're in a state of a doom loop. And sometimes you just have to be able to accept that, okay, I'm in a place where it's unhelpful. I need to be able to change both body and mind in a helpful direction that can help me go perform in this moment. I want you to understand this. As an athlete who has a high degree of control over their body, you can impact your mind. I think you've already understood this, right? You can impact your mind through body language by bringing that posturing up, by breathing deeply and bringing a lot more oxygen into your body, by intentional competitive movements to alter that mind state that you have. Now, whether it's to calm your nerves or to amp up your energy or simply to work strategic movements into the game, you can direct your energy into that present moment, helping you rather than hurting you. Now, on the other hand, an athlete who has mastered their mind can use their thoughts to impact their body. They can use things like primers to really ready their body through some kind of routine that they've built up. Self-talk to calm their heart rate, imagery to relax their muscles, or even rev up their adrenaline. But by understanding where you have more control, your mind or your body, you can leverage that strength. The goal is to use both of them in combination to have the greatest effect on your psychological momentum, by using your mind to influence your body and using your body to influence your mind in a positive and beneficial way. Okay, I'm gonna shift direction here and switch gears for just a moment to talk about some of the barriers that I've seen athletes face within the mental game. And in a moment, we'll tie it all back to that mind-body connection we've talked about. Now, every athlete faces their own share of mental barriers. Everybody has struggles at some point. Some struggle with inconsistent performances, others maybe fear of failure. Some grapple with low confidence or specific physical skills that they're working on, and others battle with that relationship that they have with themselves, that fight internally. The list is so long and so unique to every individual. But the good news is that these barriers, they're not insurmountable. They can absolutely be overcome using the mental skills that we're discussing here on this channel. Now, let me share a real life example here. I once worked with a golfer who was struggling with his consistency. He would perform so well on the first days of the tournaments that he played, and then really poorly through the next days of his tournament play. And through our sessions, we were identifying that his inconsistency was primarily due to some harmful thinking patterns based in what's called expectations and comparisons. He was expecting himself to play a certain way, and he would compare himself with that expectation throughout his game playing. He would often find himself unknowingly trapped in that doom loop, just like I was when I was a kid, letting his thoughts and his emotions run amok. He would let the game play him instead of playing the game. Maybe that is something that you felt before. Well, we worked on the strategies to enhance his self-talk and his awareness, as well as his thinking patterns. He learned to stay present in the moment, moving through unhelpful thinking, through acknowledgement and acceptance, and more productive thinking through what's called third-person statements, or talking to yourself. Working his shot process to play every ball with creativity, authenticity, and an approach-oriented shot plan. This shift in his mental approach really led to a massive improvement in his consistency and overall performance. And most importantly, he enjoyed the game more when he was able to play his game rather than being played by the game. Notice something specific in this story though. The way that we improved his physical game was by integrating new thinking patterns. He was not only more aware of his psychological momentum and when it was spinning up or going downwards into that doom loop, but he was more capable in controlling the levers that spun his flywheel up, which had a significant impact on his actions throughout the game. He mentioned so many times that he felt that he was more relaxed, that he was more in the moment than ever, that he was more creative as he has ever been on the golf course, leading to some incredible outcomes. Now, as a mental skills trainer, my role is to help athletes develop and purposefully execute on their mental skills. It's about creating an environment conducive to the athlete's growth where they feel empowered to unlock their full athletic potential. Mental training is not meant to replace physical training though. I get this question all the time. On the contrary, it's meant to complement it. However, you can't be a great athlete without the physical asset and have all the physical capabilities in the world. The mental aspect is simply about bringing all of those physical capabilities to light when it matters most. Now, by integrating mental training with physical training, we can help athletes enhance their overall performance and achieve their sport goals. This integration, and I'm calling it integration on purpose, is the true essence of the mind-body connection in sport. And that's the important bit. You can't just work the body. You can't just work the mind. You have to work them in tandem. So there's a quick look into the world of mental skills training. We've delved into some nuances of the foundations of sports psychology, the mind-body connection, and the role that it plays in sport performance. We've discussed the thought-performance relationship, how an athlete can overcome mental barriers, and the role of mental training in sports. But remember, just as it takes time to develop physical skills, it also takes time and consistent practice to develop the mental skills. It's a journey filled with ups and downs, successes and setbacks. But with perseverance and patience, you'll find that the rewards are well worth the effort. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to this channel. We have so much more content lined up just like this and wouldn't want you to miss out, so it's just a click away. Click that subscribe button below this video. And hey, if you have friends or family members, teammates or coaches who you think would benefit from these discussions on the mental side of performance, don't hesitate to share that video with them. And let's help each other grow and perform at our best. We are here to support you in your journey to top performance. Thank you for spending your time with me today. Remember, the mental state is just as important as your physical condition in sports. So keep practicing, keep improving, and keep pushing your limits. We believe in you and we're excited to see where your journey will lead. And until next time, keep pushing those limits. The mind is a powerful tool. Use it wisely. And as always, if you want to engage with like-minded athletes and get direct access to coaches like me, please join us in the Mental Grit Performance app linked below. Get grit, everybody. We'll see you soon.